Hello, I'm Susan Kennedy of Pretty Peaceful, and today I am going to do a little unboxing and test and review of some new yarn I got from Joann.com. It just arrived. It is a jumbo velvet yarn that I saw on Joann.com during their Black Friday sale that I just couldn't resist. So we're going to take a look at it. I'll show you what I ordered here, and then I want to test it out and swatch it and just see how it works up. There are no projects on Ravelry with this yarn yet, brand new, and so we can kind of see how it works. So the yarn is Lion Brand Vel-Luxe Jumbo yarn. It is a weight category 7 jumbo yarn that recommends a 19mm crochet hook. 20 yards per ball, and the ball is 200 grams, 7 ounces. And I ordered 2 colors. This hot pink color is Cabaret. It's a little bit darker than a neon pink, but nice and bright, super bright. This was the one that first caught my eye. And then I also got this beautiful neon lime green called Tender Shoots. So I bought 10 balls of each color. And I'm hoping that 200 yards or 190 meters will be enough to make kind of a kid's throw. The velvet yarn is my kids' favorite. Anytime I make a pillow with velvet yarn, they fight over it, and they just love to pet it. So I thought this would be a good one for my family, for my boys. I also got a couple of hooks. The hook that Lion Brand recommends with this is a 19mm S hook. But I also ordered a couple more from Joann.com just to have a range, because 19mm was the biggest hook I had. I don't work with super bulky jumbo yarns very often. So I also got this Susan Bates 25mm extreme crochet hook, a wooden one, to try out. And then I got the biggest crochet hook I've ever seen, a 30mm plastic boy hook, boy brand hook, and I'm going to try them all out. So I'm thinking I'll move the camera angle around so we can look at the table here, and I'll test out a couple different stitches and we can see how this works up. Okay, I'm going to start out with the 19mm hook that Lion Brand recommends for the yarn, and I'm just going to start chaining and see how it goes. I have a feeling I'm going to need a little bit bigger hook. That's why I ordered those few other sizes. And, you know, a lot of people with this jumbo yarn like to finger knit or finger crochet. And that might end up working out best, but I just kind of want to see how it goes. This yarn is so thick and cushiony. It's really soft. I can tell that my kids are going to really like this. Even my teenager will be all over it. And they had a really good range of colors. There was a royal blue that was just really beautiful, that I was tempted by that too. And an orange, a yellow, almost the full rainbow, kind of a light lavender purple. I was tempted to order just the full rainbow of it too, but I figured I'd start with 2 colors and see how it works out before I invest, because this yarn, you know, jumbo yarn is always a little bit more pricey than your typical ball of yarn. Love it so far. This looks great. I'm going to kind of work back now that I have a little bit of a chain, and I can single crochet. See how it works with single crochet. I know the super bulky blankets were really on trend, kind of that super jumbo knit with that thick roving yarn. It's all over the internet a couple years ago. And I'm glad to see a non-animal option, a wool fiber option. A lot of the roving seem to be wool. And with 3 little boys here, I really need to machine wash and dry everything quite a bit. And I generally prefer plant-based or synthetic fibers for blankets. So I can already see this is working out pretty stiff with the 19mm hook with single crochet. If I was to do a stitch like double crochet between the stitches, I think 19mm might be good. But I'm going to do another row or so here, and then maybe I'll test out a bigger hook size, maybe with the pink yarn. See if I can get a little bit more drape, because you don't want it too stiff, fabric too stiff. I do, and I do want to make the most of these 10 balls I bought, and not of each color, and not have to order more. And I think the bigger yarn will kind of stretch the yarn a little bit more, make it go a little bit further. I'll get a little bit more square footage of a blanket, so nobody's toes will get cold. Well, there is one row of single crochet with a 19mm hook. I'm going to do one more row. This is just luxurious. So far, I approve. It's soft. I have used the Lion Brand Vel-Luxe regular worsted weight yarn before. I used it for a wedding gift for a bride in the family. And I wrote a pattern for it called the Luxe Wedding Blanket with a silver colored Lion Brand Vel-Luxe yarn. And that was just so soft and nice to crochet with. My only complaint is that it's really hard to weave in the ends, and I think that's going to be a challenge with the jumbo velvet as well. It may even require a sewing needle and thread to really anchor those. I left really long tails and weaved them back, but still they kind of, you get a little worming where they kind of pop out. The tails will pop out a little bit. So we'll see how it goes with the weaving in at the ends on this. Well, I could say right now this is very stiff with a 19mm hook and single crochet. So I am going to go up a hook size. The holes are not very big here, but I'm going to go up a hook size and maybe try half double crochet with the pink Cabaret color and see how a bigger hook with a half double crochet stitch looks. Okay, so I'm going to try it with my 25mm wooden hook here and half double crochet. These big hooks can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, so bear with me while I get it figured out here. So I made a blanket with the regular Lion Brand Vel-Luxe yarn. I wrote a pattern called the Luxe Wedding Blanket, and you can find that pattern on Ravelry. I made that for a bride on my husband's side of the family who was getting married as a wedding blanket, kind of a my take on the wedding ring quilts, but in velvet with bobble stitch. And it turned out really beautiful. She loved it. And it was very easy to work with. It was really hard to go back to my regular cotton yarn after that, because it's just so nice working with the velvet when you have just it's gliding through your fingers and it's just soothing and lovely, and then going back to the cotton just felt so scratchy. But the challenge with velvet yarn, one of the main drawbacks I feel like, is how hard it is to weave in the ends, because the yarn is so silky and slippery. The ends can kind of tend to worm out. And I really did my best on the Luxe Wedding Blanket. I left really long tails and I wove them in back and forth several times because I really wanted it to be an heirloom type of blanket that would last for years and years, you know. But I could still see the areas where I wove in the ends, and even as I was packaging it up to gift it to her, I still was trimming ends till the last minute. I'm sure she's had to trim some too. So for this one, I'm gonna have to be careful and try to see how it works to weave in these ends with the jumbo yarn. It may take just tacking them down with the needle and thread to make it last. So here I've got a couple, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half double crochet stitches with a starting chain here. Okay, well I've got 6 half double crochet stitches here, plus my starting chain. I'm gonna do one more row or two so I can kind of get a feel for the drape of the fabric this half double crochet stitch is creating here. It's a little bit of a challenge to do my usual standing double crochet. I was thinking half double crochet in the third loops, which is kind of the back loop back here. Sometimes that creates a really beautiful ribbing effect. This would really be gorgeous with crochet cables if you have the skill for cables. I can knit cables, but I have trouble with crochet cables. I haven't tried much really. But I'm thinking a simple ribbed or maybe even just a knit look wainscot stitch blanket would be really cute with this yarn. Just to really let this velvet do all the talking. Keep it simple with the stitch pattern here. So there are 2 rows of half double crochet. Now that I've got this worked up, I'm kind of thinking the single crochet might be the way to go with this bigger 25mm hook. This time I'm just going to try a chain 2. And half double crochet in each stitch. So we can get a feel for it. But I can tell just by seeing how much of the ball is gone here already. These 20 yards are not going to go very far. To get a whole throw, I may have to mix the pink and the green in one. But you can expect a pretty peaceful pattern here in the next couple weeks, maybe a couple days even. This is working out pretty quickly. That's another great thing about this jumbo yarn. You can make a blanket so fast. So here we are with 3 rows of half double crochet. The drape is getting better, but I don't love the look of it. So I don't think I would make a half double crochet blanket. I'm going to try one more stitch here with the biggest hook that I have, the 30mm hook. And I want to see how that does in just all single crochet. I'm going to go back to the Tender Shoots color here and try that out. Mix my other 2 swatches here. And I'm going to see how this does with just single crochet with this giant 30mm hook. I gotta say, I really enjoyed this Susan Bates 25mm hook. It took a bit of getting used to there for those couple my little tests, but I like that one. That may be the one to go with here. But I'll try another little swatch, maybe 10 stitches or so with this big hook, 30mm, and see if I can get a nice drape with single crochet. I crochet with this later, I'm probably going to have to take all my rings and bracelets off so they don't clack against this hook. Couple more here. So this is quite loose for a starting chain. We'll see how the next row goes. But so far this yarn is really, I'm impressed with the quality of it. It's just really fun. It is jumbo as advertised. Sometimes, you order a yarn online and it comes and it's much thinner than you think. But this is nice and thick. saw Bernat brand also has a new jumbo weight velvet. I have not tested that out yet. If you've tried it out, you can tell us in the comments. Well, it's looking quite loose. Let's do another row and see how this works up. Okay, let's try one more row of single crochet with this 30mm hook and see what kind of drape it has here. Okay, probably have to do another row to really get a good idea here. The swatch is kind of small. It does take some getting used to working with this big hook, but it's fun. And I'm sure I'll get better as I go on, and my stitches will be more even after practicing a bit here. If you buy this yarn, you make something with it, tag me in it on Instagram so I can see. I'm really curious. I'm sure our talented crochet community will make lots of really beautiful stuff with it. Well, now I'm thinking I should have done single crochet with this hook because the wood hook was my favorite of these three. I tried the 19mm, 25mm, and this 30mm. I feel like the 19mm was just a bit stiff for a blanket. If you were making a basket, like in wainscot stitch, this would be great. I tried the half double crochet here, and maybe it's the half double crochet, but I just wasn't feeling this one. And here with the 30mm hook, single crochet, this has better drape. It's a little bit more flexible. But I think I may try sticking with this 25mm hook, and I'll see what I can come up with. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, I am at Pretty Peaceful Crochet, or if you're on Facebook, you can follow Pretty Peaceful on Facebook. We also have a Facebook group called Pretty Peaceful People, and I love it when people post what they're working on. You can post anything. It doesn't have to be a pretty peaceful pattern. Just kind of a fun little crochet hangout spot. So you can join me on Facebook or Instagram and click subscribe on my Pretty Peaceful channel and here on YouTube. I would love that. Thank you so much for watching.